Hi guys, it's Millie Bobby Brown here,
Hello, it's Harry Bradby here.
and this is The Breakdown. I got introduced by my older sister Paige. She had read the book series, and then I read the book series after her, after she kind of said, "You're going to fall in love with this character, just hold on. And so I went to my dad and our production company, PCMA, and we then kind of got the ball rolling, and my dad really pushed to getting a studio to work with us and finding, our amazing writer and obviously our brilliant director. So we kind of started forming a team after just reading the book series and loving Nancy Springer's writing ability.
And so then it eventually came to me. The script written by Jack Thorne, who did the Harry Potter play on Broadway. So I read the script and it just sort of blew me away. It was so fresh and particular and eccentric and very English. And I think a lot of these adventure films are sort of, particularly ones that in this country aren't, to me, particular enough about the period, especially if it's a period film. And of course, the one thing in particular that it had that others didn't, which was a female adventure hero, which seemed to, when she broke the wall, she seemed to kind of, right off the first page, seemed to grab you by the throat and say, "I'm going this way, you're coming with me."
Yeah.
This sort of sense of, do you know what I mean? That is that feeling, Millie, that it was like just so fresh and determined and confident, and I immediately took to that.
A week ago, I awoke to find that my mother was missing, and she did not return.
I wasn't really that familiar with the Sherlock Holmes story. Obviously, everyone knows who Sherlock Holmes is and the kind of premise around what he did, but not really in depth. I never watched the TV shows or read any books or anything like that. But to be honest with you, this isn't a story about Sherlock Holmes. This is a story about Enola, his younger sister. What I found was really great is that with Sherlock, the characters surrounding him were all male. It was very male-orientated storylines, which is wonderful for that story. But for this story, it's very much centered around women and what we have to say for once. Her mother, and you have incredible women storylines around it, characters and things like that. So for me, what I loved most about this story is that it was somewhat based around the Holmes family, but it was about a girl. It wasn't about a man. I don't know. That's what I liked, that twist on it. It was telling the story from a different side to the family.
Yes, Sherlock Holmes, the famous detective, my genius brother. He will have all the answers.
Enola.
Where's your hat and your gloves?
Well, I have a hat. Just makes my head itch. And I have no gloves.
My God.
I think in the first draft, Sherlock and Mycroft were somewhat of the same voice in certain ways. I think that we needed to properly explain and have a debate in the film between two ways to build a girl. You build it Eudoria's way, or you build her Miss Harrison and Mycroft's way, the traditional way and the liberated way.
Yeah.
And so we had to push Mycroft a bit. So I looked into Mycroft. He was a very traditional person. He invented a club called the Diogenes Club where no one was meant to speak. He really is a very classic traditional gent. And I thought, well, he would take a very strong view. If it's now his house, his mother's gone, what's to do with this child? And so in the original script, I remember there was talk of a boarding school and finishing school. And we just pushed that. And I have to say, I invented, apart from my friend Fiona Shaw, Miss Harrison, who I think was really glorious.
Oh my gosh, she's actually one of my favorite parts of the whole film. Every time she comes on screen, I'm like,
yeah. And then there was just this idea that she fancied Mycroft. That came along.
That to me is in itself a genius storyline that just had me chuckling. When we were on set filming those scenes, Harry knows, anytime Fiona was on set and she would do those really funny flirtatious faces, I would just ew, Mycroft, and I would just die. I couldn't keep it together, and Sam played along with it so well. So the both of them together, Henry Cavill and I, just were in hysterics at some points.
A wild woman brought up a wild child who will make her acceptable for society. She seems intelligent.
Mysteries are tough to pull off. They really are. We did a lot of work on the plot. And you're so right to say the word emotional, because it is. She's searching for her mother. For a start, when we first shot it, we put it together, we realized we didn't have enough of the mother to understand what she had lost. We actually had some new material. So that wasn't about the mystery, but it was about making us want to solve the mystery, want to reach the mother. So we got to know more about her childhood, whereas that became very important. The mystery of how she left the money and what she was doing, because it's very cloudy and shadowy, I should say. We added a lot of elements as we went along in the development, like the note, the future is up to us. That came in actually quite late in the script process, this idea that it was about standing on your own 2 feet, because the mother isn't necessarily asking her to find her. She's asking her to be free. She was basically like, there was a line once when Edith says to her, you cast her from the nest and she flew. This is a little girl who's going to have to stand on her own 2 feet because the mother's going off on her own journey. So making that knit together, giving her an adventure and a mission that made emotional sense from beginning to end was a challenge. And I think we added all kinds of things about clues and ciphers, so to make her journey as hard as possible, because that's really how you do an adventure. You just make it really difficult. You give them a good emotional reason to go after something, and then you throw all these obstacles in the path and make things as difficult as possible, these little hurdles for the character to go over.
It is time to find my mother. The game is afoot.
I have done fight sequences before. They're always expected. It's one of the set pieces that we all enjoy in action adventure films, but it's very difficult to find kind of an action sequence that tells a story. And you have to escalate by making bigger explosions or larger sort of distances to fall. And this was an opportunity to tell an origin story in the middle of a fight, which I loved because and with you being so impish and cheeky, even though when your life was in danger, it put a whole lot of our ideas all into one exciting package, I felt. I hope we deliver. And a lot of point of view, so that during the fight, that's the other thing I'm kind of a bit obsessed with, is getting inside the character's head. So you're not out there on the side drifting, just feeling like you're a spectator. You need to feel like you're feeling the blows, you're dodging with her, you're feeling the pain. So point of view and an intersplicing of different stories and putting a kind of rite of passage into a fight, those were all things that we could kind of meld together.
I do think that when we were creating these fight sequences, Harry was it was really helpful that he was so particular and did have vision for it, because with fight sequences, they can look quite silly sometimes. I mean, I've watched many that I haven't felt quite a part of it or scared for the characters. And what I mean, we had a great, stunt coordinator, Joe McLaren, who basically just choreographed these dance routines technically. And so what we would do is we'd create these small scenes on, on an iPad, edit them together and send them to Harry. And I said to him, we'd say, okay, how did you feel about this? And he'd say, right, but I don't think I like that part of the thing. So let's cut that out and add something else. Could you have another cool jujitsu move that you could add in there? And it was always so interesting to hear what he had to say, because at the end of the day, we'd go into his office and show him the video. And then he'd say, oh, okay, all right, I like that. And no, we can keep that in. That's an interesting idea. And what I loved is that it was really choreographed by Joe and Harry, and I would add my 2 cents in here and there, but other than that, Harry really did have a vision for these fight scenes. And what I loved most about watching them and about my family watching them is that they say, it just does it, and it does look so dangerous. It looks so real and it looks so dangerous, and you feel like you're part of this fight with her. But on the other sense, it has her humor kind of intertwined within the fight, as well as cinematic. So you do feel like this is kind of still quite extraordinary, and it does immerse you.
You have to help me. I'm not ready to die on a train.
I'm not ready to die at all, and I wasn't going to before I met you.
We definitely have a style. We definitely have like our own aesthetic kind of thing. And I think when watching it with my younger sister Ava, which is all she's talking about recently, is I want to watch Enola. I want to watch Enola. 2 a.m. I have my dad text me, can you come get Ava? She wants to go watch Enola. So I go downstairs at 2 a.m. I get her from my parents' room and she says, I want to watch it. I want to watch it again. So we're upstairs, we're watching it. And her favorite part is, now where to begin? And she immediately, her eyes light up and her iPad or, her games immediately go to the bed and she's like this. So having her watch, because she's never watched anything of mine, having her watch this film and actually become so immersed and in love with Enola, she almost forgets it's her sister, I think. And I think she wants to be Enola, and that's like what I wanted everyone to love about her, is that I think she thinks she's actually part of the film when she watches it because of the fact that I look to camera. So I think it's really she laughs at every moment. She laughs at every moment I look at camera and say, oh, I think this is going well, don't you? Like everything, I look at camera, she cracks up. So I think she thinks she's part of it. And I think she thinks it's like an inside joke when I look at camera. It's like, oh, you in on it too. I really like watching her reactions when she sees me looking to camera. I think it's just adorable. And I think that's one of the key factors of when we were doing this, is like breaking the fourth wall, is having people go on the journey with her. Feel like they're investigating this mystery with her.
Well, you very smartly pointed out that it is an emotional reason, because she's alone, as her name implies, and we have become her only friends. So we become the hinge, and we become people that she can confide in and sometimes be lie to. She tells us she's fine when she's not, but it's her own way of keeping herself together. We become complicit in her journey. So it's something, she gets something out of it. She gets some support out of it. And she gets some fun and some company out of it. And we get to feel involved in the journey.